What's crack-a-lackin'? We are back here with the LinkedIn Learning C# coding challenges, and this one's going to be a quick one. We're going over a little bit of LINQ, language integrated query in C#. And this is a hard problem. This one has to do with family game night. If you didn't already know, I'm the Kodiak Killer. Um, I got a new article on LinkedIn. The link to my LinkedIn is in my channel description. And this month's article actually has nothing to do with tech, um, but it does have something to do with your health. Your health is very important, so go check it out. But as far as game nights go, this problem was a little bit hard for me because in my family, we don't really do game nights because every time we do, uh, Monopoly, every time we play Monopoly, um, I remember there was this one time where we were playing Monopoly, and of course, I'm the loop vacuum, so I kind of run the house. Um, and family tensions start to arise, and siblings start to cry when when the boss man, Kodiak Killer, starts taking over, which he always does. And if you want to know my secret to Monopoly, just DM me because I'm an excellent Monopoly player. Because I rake the cash um, in Monopoly and in real life. So let's go ahead and check this out. This is going to be a short video. See, I said it was going to be a short video, then I talked for 2 minutes. But let's get after it. Alright, so we'll go over to the program class. So what we have going on, okay, so imagine some big data set. Um, Imagine we have some big data set, but we want to whittle it down based on some criteria, which we're about to see. Say we're building a game night app that stores scores after every game or session. One of the features might be tracking which players improve from week to week, okay? Seems like a boring game, but we'll rock with it. The drawback of this is that we would need to iterate through the entire data set, perform some calculation, and something on how to get back a list with a set of filtered players that meet the requirement. So instead of iterating through, so obviously you can see here we haven't got to it yet, but we only have a list of 5 players. What if we had a list of 5 million players? Well, iterating through the whole list using a for loop or something um, takes up a lot of memory in your brain and in the computer. So why not use something else? So we could have done it this way. We could have done like an if else statement, whatever. But as you'll see, we decided to go with the language integrated query, which is one of C#'s most powerful features. All right, so in this episode, our goal is to write a C# function, and you can see our function here. Improved players, I haven't written the logic yet because I am new to language integrated query as well. But we're going to tackle this together and we're going to do it quickly. I wrote the pseudocode, so that's there. But as you can see, the method, improved players, will take in, right now we have int score differential, so it's a function that finds all players that have higher scores since the last time they played. And we're going to be the judge on, or the caller of the method is going to be the judge on how high that score has to be, aka the score differential. So 5, 10, 15, 20, we get to pick. And if the scores are outside of that, if the previous score is less than the specified number that we specify in the score differential, well, then we'll return the player. All right, and I said this feels like a LINQ to me. I knew about LINQ, but I haven't really used it that much, like I said. All right, The function will take in an improvement target number as an integer, which we had, as you saw in the score differential. This integer is just the score improvement. This is just a side note that I said. It's just the score improvement we're comparing players to. This is most likely a threshold at which the player's scores needed to be improved. All right, got it? Finally, this is going to be a group of players that meet the first set of criteria by their last initial. And if you know anything about SQL or SQL queries, in particular Microsoft SQL Server, you will know what we are about to talk about. But if you don't, you're probably still going to know what we're about to talk about because it's pretty straightforward. All this stuff is, it seems complex from the outside, but once you do some digging, you realize that it's not too bad. Alright, so as I said, this feels like a SQL query or something, but I know C# has language integrated query. Okay, we know that. So we're going to use language integrated query. So I sat back and said, okay, so we have a game night, but we're focused on the player and the player's scores. So I thought, well, we need a separate entity to keep track of the player, and we're gonna filter right on the first initial of the last name and on the score. So if we're gonna filter by those things, then well, we need a player class that has these properties in there so we can filter by these properties and run some logic. So we have our 4 properties: first name, last name, previous score, recent score. That's the first thing I did. Created a player class with the properties. Second thing I did, I created a list of players, but I ran into an error here. Did not have the using directive at the top to tell the project we are using the Family Game Night namespace so that we can access the player class. Namespace. This is our namespace. Basically just a way, if you're new to C#.NET, to organize your project. Yeah. And we have to specify if we're going to use a certain class, properties, or methods in a namespace. Well, we have to tell another part of our project that we're using the namespace. So what if I didn't have this? Then this is going to throw an error. What is it going to say? The type or namespace player could not be found. Are you missing a using directive or simply a reference? Yes, I was. Let's add it back. Alright, step 2. We took care of that. We created our list. Step 3, well, I know we needed to add new players to the list. But first I ran into an issue because I didn't create a constructor in the player class. Our constructor here, public class, our constructors don't take anything. As you can see in our improved method, our constructors look like a method, but they're not a method. They don't return anything, not even a void. They don't even return nothing. They are a way to set up our class, and I didn't have it in there. So there was nothing to set up. So I'll go Control KC, which comments everything out. And what's it gonna say? Alright, we get errors. Player does not contain a constructor that takes 4 arguments. So that's what I did here. Control KU after Control KC. So it created our constructor. Alright, we're good there. What are we doing? Shut up. Alright. So we're good now. So our step 3 is taken care of. We added our players to the list. Step 4, we created our constructor, and I just deleted that, as you saw. Step 5, now we sit back and think, like I was explaining, we could iterate through this list. Subtract the 2 scores for each player and compare it to the scoring threshold that we were measuring on our function. Okay, we could do that. But LINQ is one of the most powerful features in C#. So why not get some practice in with LINQ? I thought it would be a good opportunity. And we say, but we don't want to do that. I want to use a language integrated query. Okay, and then I did some Reddit research for you guys. And based off a consensus of answers, the people have spoken. Why would I use LINQ? Okay, so basically one guy said it replaces the need for loops. And the same guy said after, we're actually not gonna, but we're not gonna look into this right now, but he said after you run like 10 or 20 LINQ statements, look up deferred execution. And we might as well look that up, but we're not gonna do it right now. And then somebody said it is one of the most powerful features of C#, like you just heard me say. It allows you to treat in-memory data and databases as collections. Great. Okay. 4, we are no longer telling the program how to get what we want, and this would be in the form of for loop, how we want to get what we want, but instead we're using a query. If you know anything about SQL, you know that SQL is declarative. We're not running a program to tell it how we want to get what we want. We're telling it exactly what we want. Alright. We are no longer telling the program how to get what we want, but are explicitly telling the program what we want. It's easy. This is the main premise behind SQL as a declarative language. Okay, we're going to actually get rid of that, get rid of this. So basically, while understanding how to write complex algorithms is important in the form of like a for loop or something, we don't have to do that. We just tell it what we want. And we're going to keep deferred execution up there. So we can maybe take a look at that. But this video is actually taking a lot longer than expected. It's not going to be too much longer. But because ChatGPT is about to come to the rescue here, which is okay because I've not worked with LINQ that much, so ChatGPT is going to save our booty. And then off camera, I'm probably going to rewrite this like probably one other time just to get a feel for it. Okay, chat. Based on my program and player class, how would I filter the results of the list to say list to show the players that have reached a certain point differential specified as a parameter, and then display the results under a group by using LINQ, of course, because group by is this Microsoft SQL Server T-SQL transact SQL keyword, but I don't know if it is in LINQ, but we're stating that using the group by statement in the form of LINQ, of course, and then display the results under group by LINQ. Yeah, how do we do that? Here's program class. We'll go Control A to select all, Control C, paste, Alt Tab, Control Tab, Control A, Control C. Look how fast we're moving. Player.cs class, Control V. Alright. And as we're using a link, the filter the player based on the point differential on group the results by the first initial of their last name using link. You can implement the approved players method as followed. So we have to create a variable. Okay. So we have our list of players and our score differential. We don't. Do we want to display the results? I guess this is the easy part. I guess getting what we want, telling it what we want, not how we get to what we want. That's when the language integrated query comes in, and then we can write a simple for each loop that writes exactly what we want. Alright, so let's focus in on our link. So we have our var filtered and grouped players equals players, and here we're using lambda expressions, I'm pretty sure, which I'm not terribly familiar with. We're using lambdas here in the link, right? Yes. Alright, so filtered and grouped players equals players dot where p dot recent score minus p dot. So we're setting p is like an alias of the player, where p dot recent score minus p dot previous score is greater than our score differential that we see here. And we're grouping by p is our alias, p dot last name dot first, so last name the first character, and then we're just going to order by g dot key. It says it's optional order by the group key, just so everything's in alphabetical order. We could do that. And this is the whole method, so the for each loop is in the method. Alright, so let's copy and paste this just for time purposes. Then I'm going to go back and rewrite it. So, paste, no errors. So let's go over this really quickly. The where clause, this filters is synonymous with where. Players selecting only those whose score improvement meets or exceeds the specified score differential greater than or equal to, through by, order by. I know I'm boring you guys, hold on. We're not going to go through this. I will read this after. Player dot new player, player improved players, player list. So we go back, improved players, takes in a list of players. We can go ahead and go. And really this should be, we can go public static void just so we don't have to create an instance of the class. Now we can say, what was this method called? Improved players. Where's not improved players? That's right. We still have to call the class it's a part of, which is the player dot improved players, which takes in a list, player list, and then it takes in, we'll say if they increase by 5, then that's what we want to see. Okay. Will we get the results we want to get? So we have our link here, which we store, our language integrated query, we store that in a variable, which makes sense. And in our variable, we have a list. So we just have to iterate through that list once we have the filtered list. So let's run it. Alright, hello world. Players with last name starting with G. Players with last name starting with L. Improved by 100 points, improved by 50 points. So if we go back, we have Dua Lipa and Siddhartha Gautama. And our threshold was what? So we have in our constructor, previous score, recent score. So we have our previous score, recent score. So we see Kimbo Slice went down. Siddhartha Gautama went up. George Washington went down. Derek Jeter went down. And then Dua Lipa went up. So it's pretty obvious Siddhartha and Dua Lipa have put in some work here lately. But yeah, it worked. We hard-coded our list. Typically we get it from a database. But the last thing, deferred execution, I have no idea what it's about to say. What is deferred execution? With link. Be concise. I'm making a video and my viewers don't want to see me read all of your BS. Means that the query is not executed when it is defined, but rather when the results are actually accessed. Such as when you iterate over the query or call a method like toList or first. This allows for more efficient data processing and the ability to modify the data source before the query runs. I like 75% of the way understand that. So with that being said, go back here. That is it for today's video. We will be back at it. Hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a little bit about one of the most powerful features in C# language integrated query. I am the Kodiak Killer. You guys have a killer day. See ya.